gonna get the sword out. That just happened. Today we are going to be building the coffee in hand radio Poseidon antenna. This antenna is their vertical antenna. It's an end-fed half-wave, but it is a vertical, and I can't wait to get started. So let's go ahead and open this box up and see what they sent us. Of course, I'm opening this from the bottom, so none of the addresses are exposed because I had this shipped to my house and not the P.O. box because I wanted it, and I can't wait to get it. All right, here she is. This is probably the link to their instructions. We got their cool antenna winder. This is a 3D printed winder that is not like the normal 3D printings. This is kind of an additive, special additive, powder coated 3D printed, and just you can't break this just by normal wear and tear. And being in Texas, it won't melt in your car. That's important. Let's go ahead and see what else they have. The B&O Tech, I really like this wire. This wire, I made several antennas out. My end-fed half-link antenna, I use this wire, and I really love it. Let me see if I can get it open. Come on, you can do it. Ah, ha, ha. And they gave us orange because, you know, as soon as you put any color on your antenna, it's guaranteed to be walked into. I don't know what it is. You make it more visible and people will be like, oh, let me walk into that. It happens. All right, and see what else they gave us. And there is the kit. I like their kit. Comes with a sticker. Can't have too many stickers. A shrink wrap and all the accessories and things you need for this build. Woo! Look at that. And what do we do in tank radio with empty boxes? 1 and 2. So let's look what we got. We got the BN Techno wire, which we looked at earlier. We got some zip ties to help us wind that wire onto the toroid. We got the toroid, the BNC connector for the antenna. We got a little clip. We got a screw and a nut and a couple of crimp-ons for the wire. Heat shrink. I don't know what this little plastic piece is going to be used for, and a Velcro tie. This Velcro tie will be used in the end to zip tie everything together when we have all the wire on there and all the components on there. So that's what this is used for, and it's very nice just to Velcro it all together instead of trying to like snake it through and get it to work. All right, I just went through the checklist for every component on here just to make sure I had everything. Unlike Jason in the Ham 2.0, we had several live streams where we tried to put together something and it was missing something. I did the checklist. The one thing I did find it was kind of interesting, on this checklist it says element wire, well I assumed it was this wire, and then enamel wire, which is this magnet wire here. But then later down the checklist, it has 100-foot wire, which is this wire. And when I'm looking at the picture they have provided, I have everything already the same way as they do, minus, you know, it's just kind of jumbled up. So I think their checklist might be including wire a couple times when they don't need to. But we're just going to start putting this together and see where we end. Also, the build instructions are right here. You can also get the instructions and order this Poseidon antenna by going to the Coffee Ham Radio page, going to their catalog, and clicking on the antenna. There's the antenna. And then their build instructions are right. We'll get those open while that's loading. I will note, I did purchase the antenna. It wasn't given to me. That's why there's no promotional button right here. I purchased this. I'm going to be building it and I'm going to give you my true thoughts because that's how I roll. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We are going to be doing this step, preparing the frame, and we're going to be taking the BNC connector and the bolts. Perfect. And I'm just going to do it with the BNC connector. We're going to remove the bolt here and also the all the locking lugs, and then we're going to insert it so that this part of the connector is pointing back this way. So that's where we're all going to do our soldering and everything. Oh man, that fits so nicely. And then we're going to put the grounding part there, and then I think that's the locking part next. And finally, we're going to use the bolt to bolt it in. Like their other builds, I went ahead and made sure that this part of the connector, that it has like the little dip or sill that you can rest a wire on is pointing up, and we're going to use that to push against when we solder on, so it holds it tight and we get a good soldering point. Then I am going to put the bolt through here. Ooh, that's a tight squeeze. I don't think I have something to turn this with. Can we just push this through? Or we're gonna have to turn it. We're gonna have to turn it. So that's why you don't have any locking nuts for this, because you physically gotta turn it in there, and that's not going anywhere. You're not gonna push that out or anything. So that's fine, I agree with that. And then we're just gonna put the bolt on there so we don't lose it. Come off later, but so we don't lose it. All right, so this next part is gonna be using this enamel wire. I have 2 pieces of wire, and I'm going to straighten them out for convenience. And we're going to be wrapping the toroid. The instructions say to leave about 2.5 inches of enamel on that end, which that is about 2.5 inches. And then we're going to wrap the toroid in a clockwise fashion. So I'm going to be starting out with the enamel wire poking through the top end about my 2.5 inches right here, and then I'm going to be wrapping the wire in a clockwise fashion 8 times through this. They also recommend, if you want, to go ahead and put a zip tie here to hold it in place, and also make sure you don't twist the wires. That's very important. Do not twist the wires. There we go. And that is on there. There's my 2.5 inches sticking out, and 8 turns. Here we go. And then this does count as turn number 1. Don't twist the wires. Get them all nice and pretty. So according to the instructions, this is 1. Now this is 2, and now we're going to be working on 3. And 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. There she is. She looks actually not that bad. I like her. We're gonna count again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it almost looks like the picture. I like it. They went ahead and put another zip tie there, but I don't think I need it. I'm just going to do some cleanup, try to get them more evenly spaced. That looks beautiful. Just check to make sure nothing's twisted. Yep, here we go. Ha! I did a thing. The next part's going to be the fun part. We're going to be removing the enamel off of these wires here, and we got to remove it off of pretty much all of it, the most as we can get off of these without really compromising the toroid. The method they recommend is a razor blade or sandpaper, but I got a better idea. I am going to be using the force on one side, so that means I'm going to burn it off. Yeah, buddy. So let's just do the sandpaper first, and we just got to get this off. And don't forget about both sides and the inner. And now, the fun part. Something really smells like burning now. That removed the enamel pretty good. And however, it did leave a black char, which we do need to get off now, probably by sandpaper. I don't know if we saved anything on this, but it was sure fast and fun. Doing a bit of cleanup, and it now dawns on me, if this was really magnetic wire, what changes magnetic properties in magnets? Anyone? Anyone? Extreme heat. And that's the two sides. I think they both did a good job. However, the sandpaper side took a little while longer, and I'm worried about compromising the integrity of the magnetic wire, if it is magnetic wire in that side, but it was so much faster to burn it off, and you know, fun. With that and a quick break from lunch, I warmed up the soldering iron and got the little sponge ready to go, and we're going to be using that to next. We are going to twist and solder the two center connector wires together. They do point out you want to twist these two wires together close as you can to the toroid so that some math happens. But they also said that you can leave one wire longer than the other, so you can solder that to the center pin and not have to worry about unsoldering or getting a cold joint between these two solder points. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get those close as I can. I'm going to choose arbitrarily that guy to be our long wire, and then the rest of this I'm just going to twist up probably like so, and then I'm just going to do some fix to try to get these wires close as I can get to it, and I'm going to cut that guy off. I'm going to solder that together. I'm feeling like I am quoting KMRD here. I'm going to do some tin solder tip maintenance. So I just put some solder on there. I'm just going to let it sit there for a minute while the smoke dissipates. There we go. Clean it. Beautiful solder tin right there. Let the wires heat up for a second. Next I'm going to do the other side too, just for get it nice and soldered together. Alright, there she is, the solder job. I think she will hold pretty well. Put a little glob on it, but they're all connected there nicely. I like it, I like it. All right, we're gonna be moving on to the next step. Next, I'm just gonna put this on the board here just to show you how things are gonna line up. We got the toroid here in the center. And this is the side that we started wrapping the toroid because there is our zip tie right here. The center line is gonna go into the B and C connector at that spot that we had that lip pointed up. Then on the left side of the center wire on my board is going to be our ground connecting and goes to our grounding plug right here. And then this wire is going to loop back and go to the antenna that is eventually going to be here. So with that said, I am going to zip tie toroid here, but make sure your center pin lines up nicely when you zip tie this up. I'm going to push it back to give me more room for that center pin. Slide that through, sense it down one more time. There we go. I like that so much better. Cut that guy. When I'm done, I'm thinking about putting another zip tie right here, just to hold everything together. But right now, allowing it to give me a little slop won't hurt anything. I'm going to cut this guy a little long again. Okay, here we go. We're going to solder the center pin to the B and C connector now. And for giggles, we're just going to take the voltmeter and check for continuity. Take my two connectors, touch them to each other, and you'll hear the wheel squeal. Then this should also beep because of that solder point right there. And now for the center of the B and C connector, we are going to touch the center B and C connector and the other side of what we soldered to, and we should also hear it squeal. I do like it. I'm going to clean up the solder a little bit to make it a little bit more cleaner and better connection. I might have a closed solder joint because it was kind of like hesitating, but give me a second and I'll clean that up for y'all. All right, next we are going to be removing this plastic sheath from this connector, and I don't know why, but they do not like this sheath. One, maybe that's why I do a short like that, tank radio style. Next, we're going to take this grounding wire here, and we're going to thread it through this ground port on the B and C, and then we're going to connect it here with an O-ring. So let's do that. So through, perfect. And then I am just going to solder that really fast. No, I'm gonna put this connector on first. I want it just to the outside. I want it to the ow! There it goes. I burnt myself. All that solder inside there. We're gonna let that cool for a minute, and then we're gonna route it to this grounding nut. Turn that around, and we're going to place it on its grounding locking nut. Perfect. Next, we got to solder this grounding wire to the grounding standoff for the BNC connector right there. This shouldn't take too long. And then for the heck of it, I'm going to do a little bit on the other side. There we go. That looks like a good solder joint. Here we go. There's one side, and then we got the other side. So currently I'm leaving this nut a little loose because at the end we're going to have to open this wire up and crimp and solder this wire so that this will be the grounding counterpoise, and that's connected there. But unlike the other antenna I built from them, they don't have a linking O-ring for the antenna wire. They just run it straight. Interesting choice. So I'm going to do that later. The next step they show is taking this wire and moving it all the way around and putting a hook on it like so. Actually, I want a smaller hook, so I'm going to use the needle nose pliers to create a kind of a smaller hook like that. Perfect. All right, well, looking ahead a little bit, misspoke on that grounding lug. The grounding lug is going to have counterpoise, but not just one like other end-fed halfways. This is going to have, since it's a vertical, a number of counterpoise in different directions, so they give you a better ground plane. So what we're going to need to do is open this B&TECO wire, and we're going to create 4 17-foot sections. There's 4 of them. Alright, so just off camera, we completed cutting 4 17-foot radials, in which that brings the length of wire I've used to 68 feet. And I am going to now strip these ends. A little long is okay, so we can always cut them after we finish soldering. Twist these together and find the other ring connector. Shove it in there. Maybe I should have made it longer. Beautiful. And then I'm just going to do the other side a bit. Ow! That fell off. Okay. There we go. Let's take a quick look at that. There we go. We got it soldered, all 4 wires. Perfect. And then that is just going to go right there. I'm going to take it off for now so that we can finish the other side. Somewhere around 32 feet. And not going to leave a lot left, but that's good. We are going to start threading this from the bottom. And this is going to be for string release. We're going to pull up. We're just going to thread it up, loop it down, and loop it right into the last hole there. And pull it about there. And then they say to go ahead and put a knot in it. This knot is to help for strain relief. The last strain relief to make sure nothing moves. You know, I'm just going to give myself a lot to work with, so that I can knot it nicely and then pull out the excess. My knot, through, pull it through, perfect. Then I'm going to strip this end, maybe a little extra, and then I'm going to connect it to the antenna wire coming off the toroid. Take that and I'm going to loop it around the top there, come on, loop it down, and I'm just going to solder right there. Now, I know I got the soldered strands soldered in. I'm just making sure the solder is connected to that big copper wire. Get that cool, and then that's what we got. So my plan is I'm going to put a zip tie right here to hold this down so it doesn't touch any of these toroid wraps. I don't think that's going to be an issue, but better safe than sorry, right? Yoink, yoink, and cool. We did a thing! Look at that! Next part would be just going to the park, measuring off 25 feet, and I'm going to tune that to get it right, and that would be a completed mast. Look at it! Frank did other thing. That is a completed Poseidon antenna, minus we still need to go out to the park and get this tuned right, but I am happy with that. Overall, that build did not take too long to build. I just had a lot of camera issues and getting things kind of like set up right for the camera, but that took me about 2 hours to do, but probably half that time for you because you're not worrying about all this setup and mics and cameras and a camera and recording everything and following the instructions. I can't wait to get this out to the field and tested. This was fun. I do recommend this build. It's one of the easier ones they did, other than, yeah, this is the easiest one I've done by them so far. So thank y'all for watching. And as always, thank you, Coffee and Ham Radio, and everyone else. Go forth and conquer. And what do we do in tank radio if empty boxes? 1 and 2. The all the locking nugs, and this zip tie was my zip tie I was using to mark where my workbench space was, and I lost that, so I'm gonna have to figure that out after I get this all there.